How is everybody else? Stuart, JC Schnabel, what's going on? Brad Kelly, Haley, Justin Mack, Profil
Good. I
Gene.
think getting frustrated with the search through brokers, so interested to hear a little bit more about other ways of reaching out to companies.
Yeah, that is true. It's like you're waiting on somebody else's work. Hey, what do you got this week? What do you got? What do you got?
Right?
They're not moving fast.
Tell me what's frustrating you about brokers.
There are good brokers and bad brokers, right? As with everything.
Yeah.
And some of the most quote unquote appealing opportunities. Once you start diving into them, they take a while to hear back, and then you start finding out those numbers on there are more of a ballpark than anything tied to reality. And obviously, it's always the rose-colored glasses on those.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's pretty spot on.
Brian LaGrange looked like active duty captain. What's going on, Brian?
That's true. I'll be putting on a major here in like a month. So, but yeah,
Are you?
uh,
Are you up for
yeah, I
me?
do. Yeah, no, I'm putting on in like June, July here pretty soon.
Congratulations,
So,
man.
yeah, thanks. Been in for 11 years, active duty Air Force. Um, been doing some M&A research and learning about valuation. So it's been fun, and so I'm glad to be part of this call.
Good deal. And we're going to start in 1 minute.
Awesome.
Waiting for BT to, and I'm going to put everybody on mute when we start, except for Connor.
Hey, Connor.
What's up?
I know you mentioned that you're based in Austin right now. Is that where you're originally from, or was that like a relocation type of thing?
So I'm based in Austin, grew up in San Antonio, hence why I think Wembanyama is the greatest coming ever in basketball. So very much love my San Antonio Spurs. Grew up there, moved to Austin. When did I move here? 2016. So I moved here in 2016, started working with I can get into the story later, but large financial institution, did that for 4 years, started our own companies and firms in 2020, and that's what's led to working pretty heavily in the like private equity investment space.
So, what made you get into it in the first place? Like, is that something that you went to school for, family business?
Good question. No, it just kind of happened because I wanted to get into the financial investment world. That's what started in 2016, then shifted in 2020. And we just had clients that you could do traditional investments with, kind of manage portfolios, accounts. They started, I mean, 2020 changed for everybody. So he said, hey, Connor and team, can you guys look at commercial real estate investments? Can you look at private equity deals? Can you do all of these other bits and pieces of underwriting, research, analysis, you name it? And then they asked us the super major question that kind of changed everything, which is, hey, I'm so tired of getting into these bidding wars and like working with brokers or whatever. Can you go find me deals just like this, but they're off market? And in 2020, we said, we have no idea how to do that, but we'll figure it out. And that's just kind of what it's been. I mean, 4 years, failed 5 bajillion times, built up tons of teams and systems, figured out what data out there is good, what's bad, what's ugly, and then what's perfect, and like how we go about building, making all of that. And then currently we're serving 190 plus clients just in terms of doing like targeted search and outreach, whether it's commercial real estate or private equity.
Okay. Did you all start your business like with friends, or was it something that you networked your way into, or was it a mix?
No, it's Brandon James. I think he was on the last call, if I remember correctly, that we've done with John and tons of others. But he's my co-founder, so we started it together. And he double majored at the University of Oklahoma in physics and mathematics. So just like take the smartest person you know, and then like this guy's smarter somehow. It's like take the best basketball player you know, and Wembanyama's better. So he's my Wembanyama. I've got him on my team, and I love telling people that.
So find your Wembanyama.
Dude, he's 7'4". He just runs the paint. You don't even have to be close with the pass. It's just got to go up, and he can take it and throw it down.
All right, 10:07, 10:08. I'm going to get started here again. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know you have other things to do, but I appreciate you joining our webinar. We're going to talk about off-market deal flow. Again, my name is John Stoddard. I've got a business called Deal Flow System. It's coaching people on how to buy a business, finding good deals. And I also run that podcast, Top M&A Podcast. So the reason I do this is exactly what JC talked about earlier is on-market deal flow is through brokers. And basically, you're just waiting for them to go out and do all the legwork and find out what they have. But they just don't deliver enough on-market deal flow for you to make an acquisition. So that's why we're here. Because if you do off-market deal flow, the more you have, the better your chances are making an acquisition on your terms. And that's creative financing and on your time schedule. So that's why I brought Connor Young on and teamed up with him. You will see if you go any coaching with me that I've added him to my group coaching and my one-on-one coaching, because you just got to have both. You got to have off market, got to have on market, you got to have a ton of deal flow for acquisitions to happen. You just have to increase your chances. So with that, I am going to introduce Connor Young and give him control. And oh, by the way, I have one of my students here, Tom Diamond, who just purchased a company 3-4 months ago, a security company for, it was a great deal, very clean company,
Nice.
enduringly profitable.
Congrats, Tom. That's awesome.
And he's here ready to buy another company.
There you go.
All right. And he's going to work off market. So Connor, you got it. I'm going to give you control here. And by the way, just a little housekeeping. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. And the presentation is not too long. And then we're going to open it up to Q&A probably in 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, perfect. Well, John, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the intro. And like you said, I mean, I love what you've built with Deal Flow Systems. That is the number one reason why we even do this part of the business that we do is, as I was saying earlier on the call, if you guys caught it or not, working with tons of investors, their biggest hurdle and obstacle with even getting a new investment or deal is the deal flow. Actually seeing enough potential leads, deals, the volume. If you don't have that, you don't know what you're comparing it to. And that's the biggest thing that you have to have. So when we're targeting a ton of stuff off market, I know there were some comments earlier of, hey, brokers are busy, they have tons of listings, or working with this or that, but you're basically waiting on them to maybe give you exactly what you want. And to be completely honest, every broker that I've talked to, we get really in depth on like, hey, how many buyers or investors might you be working for or with? And they're not necessarily paying the broker monthly or a retainer or anything like that, but they have hundreds, thousands. And so their biggest priority is, let me just go find that deal that could potentially sell. And I'm not really necessarily signed up or assigned directly to you to give you that HVAC business that's doing 5 million in revenue, 2.4 in EBITDA, something extremely amazing. I want to put it in front of everyone, so it's an auction or it's a bidding war and it raises the price. So that's where we've seen, hey, do things off market. Off market's great, but I still tell people, like, handle both. Like, don't limit yourself on just doing on market or just doing off market. Like, it's great to just have your hands in both pies. But this call, what we're doing is just going through how we structure everything for the 190 plus VIP clients that we currently serve that tell us, hey, Connor, here's my exact buy box criteria. These are the locations I'm going after. These are the industries. I want this many employees, etc. And it's got to match something like this. How we go about doing that, doing all the outreach, setting up the conversations, and then finding 10 to 30 companies within 90 days that we connect our clients directly to. That these businesses are open to selling. They've got good financials. They're ready to get something, started in terms of a conversation. but it's just, wow, directly for the client. So can I share screen? John, is that available? Yeah, I think I got it here. Okay, perfect. So this right here, document, if you guys can see it. If not, John, can you give me a little thumbs up, or can you see screen, everything? Perfect. Awesome. So this little document is super straightforward. We love simplicity, and this is what we're going to give. Everyone post-call or maybe later gets, PDF versions. There's a few little, we work with tons of different software vendors and partners. I'm happy to include codes and stuff like that. Like you can sign up, and if you're on the call or watching it, like it totally applies. But I'm going to go just give you the steps on like exactly what we do. So simply put, I mean, this is exactly how we get, the 15 to 30 off-market businesses wanting to sell in 90 days. Number one is know exactly what you're looking for. So if I were to, let's see here, John, can I lower my screen here? I click OK, perfect. If I were to just go to like a sample search spreadsheet, like let's say we want to go to Austin, Phoenix, Atlanta, and we've got a ton of really good industries that we want to target right here. Okay. I've either talked to my business partner that I'm trying to go after this deal with. I've done a ton of analysis or worked with other MBAs or maybe search funds or PE groups to say like, I'm kind of industry agnostic. I would love to have something that's just super healthy financials. That's great. So targeting maybe 40 plus or whatever types of industries works for me. And these are like the 40 plus that sound great. But maybe I just want to look at cleaning services or house painters or HVAC, right? Getting to that stage of knowing exactly what you want. I always recommend, even if somebody's like, I am industry agnostic, but I just want, X amount of money post debt service, or maybe just an SDE. Like that's great, but everybody else wants that. So if you can narrow it down even more specifically to the industry, you're going to stand out way more than everyone else too. So high recommendation there. It's kind of the simple thing. Everybody knows that. Building that list is great, but actually finding those prospects is the tough part, right? So we use CairoData.com. It's our own internal database. Like I said, in 2020, we honestly didn't know where to start. We paid for everything, maybe like idiots, but that's okay. So we really figured out like there's so many really good vendors out there with databases, but their accuracy level is 25, 30, 35%. Like it's just really bad. In terms of business owner name, contact info, email, phone number, website, all of that. There could be something off, whatever it might be. And so what we've built internally is very straightforward. Our CTO, honestly, smartest guy ever, not Braden, his name's Dylan, but a simple program that you can take. ABC Roofing Company, you can go use any type of internet sourcing method, but it can go to like Facebook pages, Yelp pages, Google business directories, wherever. It can pull person's name, match that. It can pull email, phone number, website, social links, put it all together into one record, and then push it into our database. So we're getting anything and everything from multiple different sources so that it's all put together pretty succinctly for people to go after. But if you were to just say, great, like that sounds awesome. In theory, how do I actually use that? The website is just CairoData.com. If you go to CairoData, let's say you just wanted to search up Austin, Texas. You could search up Austin. It pulls up all records that you may want to target. You could see it directly on a map. You can see a bunch that I've even started to save here. But if you were to go through these records, you can pull all sorts of different types of businesses and then see the contact information for them, right? So if I clicked on this accounting group, you can get the name, location, phone, email, website, just right here. If I wanted to continue going back to the map, you could see it directly here. Okay, real business. That's not someone's home. Fantastic. That's maybe what I'm after. But most importantly, what I really want to do, Connor, is put it together in a list. And if I could put it together, something like this, save all of these contacts. If I just save current page, and I could put it together into just my first list. then I can put it, save to list, loads. If it's a super long list, like let's say you want to save, I don't know, all of Austin, Phoenix, Dallas, whatever, it's gonna take some time to maybe put all of those records together and then save. But then you get it right here. You can hop into your lists, pull up your list of businesses that you have. And then if you just want to export it, you just export it right here. Pulls up brand new CSV file. You can open it up and see if it loads properly so it can get it perfect. And you got all the addresses. You can get emails, understand the industry it's in, the name, phone number, subcategory or industry that it might be, website, etc. So all of that just in the speed of 5 buttons, right? But you can go back and you can really start to like, filter by industries or anything else that you want. So if I change this, go to filter, I can choose out of all these industries right here if there's some specifics that I like. So towing services, waste management, pest control, right? Could remove all, could highlight, go through property management. Let's add that one, towing service, waste management, and pull up those businesses too. And then go through the exact same process that I just did, where it'll pull those businesses. I could save that into a CSV file, and then that starts me on to the next step. But in terms of data and going after the most accurate data, going after data that you really can't find in other places, like, you know, there's some really big name, I won't name certain companies. They're great. They're not great in terms of giving you trade service type businesses. Like if I want every single waste management junk removal company, I can't really go to some of the biggest players out there that are databases. They just don't have it. We've really focused on that. So if that's kind of the, I don't know, niche or focus on the types of businesses you're after, then that really kind of makes sense. If it's not, if you're after like, hey, I really need like the next greatest SaaS company or something. I mean, we have those, but like that's not necessarily the giant true improved focus. So in terms of building the list, Cairo Data has it. That kind of brings you to the next step of how do I even do the outreach, right? We handle so many clients and then emails, text communication. We use lots of different softwares. The main one being Sales Handy. However, we're friends of Instantly. We love Reply. There's so many other tools that we also still use because we're sending hundreds of thousands of emails and texts per month. We just want to keep testing, like what's working well, what's not. How do we check way into the tech, you know, the DMARC, DKIM, SPF type records, what's, you know, proving and increasing deliverability and open rate and everything else. But if you're really getting started, Sales Handy is fantastic. It really, really works. And then if you're wanting to set up emails specifically on how to go out there, there's lots of different ways to do that. I don't necessarily have the time to kind of set that up. We've kind of talked about what if we released a video or a course even though I hate the people that put out courses and stuff. But regardless, if they're just like, oh, here's 2 steps and it doesn't work, we thought about, hey, what if we just made a video and people could go out and really learn all the steps themselves, use Cloudflare, use Google Domains, which is now Squarespace or name.com or Namecheap or whatever, get that domain, attach it to Google Workspace, which is our highest recommendation, getting a free Cloudflare account, setting up the DMARC, DKIM, SPF, putting it all together so that you have the cleanest, greatest looking email. Your deliverability rate is the same as Elon at Tesla.com, which probably goes into everybody's inbox if you wanted to email people. And then taking it from there to stretch out that list, right? And if we were working with this list right here, I just pulled it up. I don't know if everybody can see it. There's also the ability to make sure like all these emails are clean, okay? I'm going to be the first one to say this. No database has 100% accuracy record. Ours is very good. It's around 75 to 80%, and I'm very proud of that. However, we still use MillionVerifier in everything that we do, because if someone changes their email tomorrow and we just don't know about it, then it's just going to be a bad email. So if we can get ahead of that and constantly use this awesome tool, MillionVerifier, for just checking emails, it's perfect. Now, here's the best part. So if we've handled emails, we've created sequences, we've set up the email custom domain or even other types of email structures so that we're just sending, hey, how's it going? My name's Connor. I'm a fellow business owner in the area and I saw your business. It checked every box for me. I love what you've built. Are you open to hearing offers? Rinse and repeat over the 90-day period. We do dozens of types of communications that are just built structurally for that, adding in stories, everything else. Great. We just want to drive in responses. Same thing with making calls and doing texts. There's a big shift in everything that you could do text-wise. So I don't know if you guys are in that world, understand like, oh, lots of regulation came in, 10 DLC, the way that they structured mass texting, you really can't do mass texting. And there's ways that I could say like, oh, this is what you can maybe do, and it's a loophole. I'm not going to do that because we've realized, okay, they're very serious on the new regulation. It's super efficient. If we can just control not doing mass texting or just auto texting, but doing the calls and then manual texting, that's pretty easy for like a copy and paste. And if you're looking to do that at scale, even just on your computer, really recommend Google Voice. It's a free account. If you want to have a little bit, or not even a little bit, a ton more features, flexibility, control, setting up voicemails, doing rerouting, I recommend OpenPhone. That's what we use. We've used everything. OpenPhone is the best. I think it's, what is it, 15, 17 a seat or something like that, dollars per month. But it's fantastic. Highly recommend them in terms of, hey, I can make a call directly from my computer or download their free app on my phone, and I can handle all text calls right there. It's the best, super efficient. But that leads me to the last point, which is, hey, handling all responses and then actually setting and booking calls. So if I'm in an email inbox and I see a bunch of people that reply, some people may say like, oh, I'm, not ready, or try me in 6 months, or not interested. But a lot of people will say, sure, what's your offer? Tell me about yourself. What do you know about my business? I'm open to talking. Anything. Then handling those responses, our highest recommendation is set up a phone call or a face-to-face meeting or set up a virtual call. They really just want to get to know you. I think I mentioned this on the last call. It's so much like dating. Like you're going into this meeting, they're not going to come to that type of phone call or that meeting with their tax returns and their financial statements or P&L. They want to get to know you. And they're super willing to talk, especially if they're fee conscious and they don't want to talk to a broker who's giving out 10 to 15% fee. So they're like, hey, I'll take a free conversation. And I actually am thinking about selling, but man, I've been dragging my feet on it because I don't want to go talk to somebody who's going to charge me 10 to 15%. That's the only way I know how to reach out to buyers. And here you are, hey, I'm a buyer and it's off market. Let's just talk. It's kind of like giving them a present on a silver platter. If they're in the spot to sell, it's really going to lead to conversations. But you handle that from the email inbox, setting up a phone call. Hey, I'm open Friday, 1 p.m. Like, let's talk. Here's a calendar invite. Send it directly to you. If it's a text, same thing. If it's on the phone, you can do that too. But this type of top of the end funnel is what we call it, drives in so many different leads. We've had clients that our highest is 77 over a 90-day span that we've been able to like find that qualified, book an appointment for. Tremendous. That's just out of the norm. I don't normally tell people that, but what you can expect is 10, 15 to 30 types of companies over a 90-day window that are all off market. They're interested in talking. I don't think anyone here, I can't do this. I can't go buy 30 companies tomorrow. But if I get, 1 or 2 companies that I bought out of 30 over a 90-day span, that's fantastic. And that's really what I'm trying to handle. So I do want to take a pause and break. I know I just talked so long and I rambled too much. And you're like, I hate this guy. I hate that he loves the San Antonio Spurs and Wemby. Like, what the heck? But would love to hear questions if you've got them. But if you say anything bad about Wemby, I'm going to kick you out of the meeting. But that's okay.
So this is about, FYI, everybody, this is about how they created their top of the funnel to drive leads. So this is if you were going to do it yourself and do it on your own.
Absolutely.
Any questions there? Let me kind of just pick on JC novel about the buy box. You got your buy box here? Is he still on there? Oh, I'm sorry. You got on mute.
Was that in the chat, John? I'm not sure if I can pull it up.
No, it wasn't a buy box. It was just JC got on early. I think that was JC, but got on early and just said he was frustrated with the number of or lack of leads from
Brokers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. If not, we'll just go on. If you guys have any questions, how much information do you include in the initial email? And are there tips about what to include or exclude? Brad Kelly.
Great question. I love to be as personable as possible. Okay. You've got to imagine these business owners. There's so many different private equity firms or whoever that love the same business and they may reach out. If you come across and you say, hey, my name's Connor, I'm a fellow business owner, or here's a story about me. I saw your business. I really love what you've built. Bits and pieces, you can add details, get as specific as possible with that story. Let them know that you're a human being. That generates so many responses. Like our current open rate is around 60%, which is really good across all emails. And then our reply rate is about 9, 10, 11, 12%, which is really good in terms of getting people to actually respond. And then we just take it from there.
Good deal. All right.
Question from Cameron.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, when it comes to email, I know that the title or headline, whatever they see first, is very important. So what do you typically put in the title of the email when you're doing, well, I guess this would be cold outreach. So what do you put in the title to make them open the email in the first place or to stand out?
We try everything. So right now, we A/B test everything and we're switching copy or the wording for emails or the subject line constantly. Something that's really picked up for us is just the tagline, I want to buy your business. Then the people that are, you're laughing at me, it's so true. The people that are like, okay, like 2024 might be that year. Let's see what this email is about. They open that email and then they might reply, right? But we're not just stopping at one email. We're sending tons over the course of the 3 months of the 90-day period, and also texts and calls too, to just kind of say the same thing. But that's a really good subject line.
So
that's a little golden nugget right there.
Absolutely. What would you say is a good frequency? Like once a week, once every 2 weeks?
Email sequence and the steps, the kind of frequency, we change it up so it's not the same day of every week. So we'll go email 1 is sent 3 days later, email 2, 6 days later, email 3, 5 days later, email 4. And we're testing that constantly too. I'll be honest right there and say, I don't think there's a perfect cadence, but try anything and everything. I would just keep the emails that are being sent like less than a week apart. If it goes to step or email 7, then email 8, maybe space those out a little further, just because then it kind of kicks in somebody's inbox or they went to Greece for 2 months and who knew, but something could happen. And that's kind of the cadence I would recommend.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great questions, man.
All right. So that was kind of the first part where we talked about it. If you were to do it on your own, and I also want to kind of throw out a warning. I did have some friends try to do these mass emails through Google, and Google shut their account down. So,
yep.
Yeah.
You've definitely got to know what you're doing and how to do it, which is why I recommended the Cloudflare steps. And as John just said, and what I reiterated at the very beginning of kind of explaining those steps, if you want to do that, this is how. Set up that list, get the right data, handle the emails, set up a Cloudflare account, which is free. Walk through the steps of going through the email settings where you get the DMARC, DKIM, SPF, set up those records perfectly. And then you can kind of get to the route of, great, let's kind of go in the mass volume-based game. So I get that deal flow, right? Everybody's on this call. Anybody that watches the video is probably here for the deal flow, but that's how you do it. For the second part, John, do you want me to explain a little bit like, hey, like here's kind of how you can set it up, or I guess outsource it, or where did you want me to
Yeah,
go?
and the second part of this, if you don't want to do all this technical back stuff, hire NASA scientists. Connor, this is talking about his service. There's two levels of service that he could deliver these leads to you, or it's done for you. So that's where he's going to talk about now.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share screen again so it's a little clear. So if you're going to do it yourself, these are the simple steps that we do. And it's the same for everybody on how we handle, a 90-day subscription for all of our VIP clients. And as mentioned, currently we're doing it for about 190 plus. But if somebody says like, hey, I don't think I have that kind of time, there's ways to outsource it. If you do it yourself, I'll highly recommend like, hey, Upwork, Fiverr exists, but this is kind of what it looks like. So if you were to do it yourself with no VAs, which is my biggest recommendation, right? Like if you have the time, it's super low cost. You can kind of get everything set up yourself. You have to do the learning, the training, everything there, but you can totally do it yourself, right? You can use our data, several other data sources, kind of put it all together. Or if you also still wanted to do it yourself and hired a team of VAs, it's roughly, 3 is on the super low number of like what you would need to handle the emails and cold calls. One VA can handle maybe trying to get the leads, but then you have to like coordinate and train them on what types of leads you're actually trying to go after, and then how to set up the emails, and then how they would respond and kind of go about that. And then if you hire cold callers, you got to start with at least 2, some that can make a ton of the initial outbound calls, some that can handle all the inbound calls, those that handle the appointment setting. If you're just going at just super base pricing too, like you don't really care if they're skilled, highly, or maybe super highly trained. The leads and email type of VA is about $5 to $6 an hour, which is really good. It's reasonable. The cold caller, having someone that can speak English super proficiently, handle questions, know exactly how to talk to different people. It may not be in this like ballpark range, but this is just if you were to look maybe some stuff up on Upwork or Fiverr on the more highly skilled callers, it's about $8 to $10 an hour. And if we just ran them at 20 hours a week, monthly, what that would just be at the $5, $8 range for just the VAs, 3 VAs, it'd be about $1,680 a month to about $2,080 per month in terms of like what you're paying those VAs at just the $20 a month. But that does include like the training. So spending the weeks on like, hey, here's how you handle conversations. Here's how you find the exact leads that I need. Handles turnover. You can just get someone who quits on you on like day 12 just because they want to. Why not? And then the data. So you got to pay in addition for whatever data sources that you're going after to kind of pull. But that's what I recommend if someone's like, hey, you know what? I just kind of want to tackle it myself. If you wanted it done for you, like I said, Cairo started before we even offered data and anything else, as just doing it directly for clients. Every person gets about a team of VAs of like 10 to 12. We can start tomorrow. They're all trained, so they know how to talk to a floral shop owner, to an HVAC owner, to an IT consulting owner. They've got everything. They've got the scripts, they've got the messaging, and then cost-wise, it's less than the $1,680 per month. But I always tell people, hey, I don't know what your situation is. If you're in the spot where like, hey, I don't have the time and I can't make, the 40 plus hours of cold calls per week. Oh, that's the other thing. I forgot to put this. This is probably at 20 hours a week runtime. All of our VAs work 8-hour days. So they're working 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. So you're getting that in terms of how you can do that. But if you don't have the time, then that's probably maybe an option for you. But if you do, then just using our data and kind of going through the steps and everything else that I put together, like this makes sense. But we wanted to address both audiences, right? Like, oh, I do want that VIP done for you service. That's great. Or the person who's like, no, I gotta have to have my hands control on everything. So I'm just gonna do it, but let me use your data. Then we offer that too. But any questions to any of that?
this is a point right now. I'm gonna unmute this and you guys raise your hands and I'll
Sure.
put your question in the chat box. And you can start asking what this looks like. You know, how long it takes to create this funnel and when should I start seeing leads? What do these leads look like? Like, do I call them? Do they show up on a Zoom? What questions does the lead, for instance, like, is it a $5 million business? Is it a $1 million business, et cetera? So let's open it up to questions here that I know everybody will have.
Yeah, let me answer that first one because that's a great one in terms of what does the timing look like? Because most people don't know, but these are business owners. They're all off market. I mean, they're pretty busy, but you can start to expect to see some responses in like 2 to 3 weeks. If it's a great email campaign, call, texting, like you're doing all the touch points that you need, you can start to get to people and they'll start saying yes or no to you in terms of talking or hearing offers. But then you stretch and expand. And so over the 90-day period, you're just getting more and more and more that just, it's funnel, keep going down.
Yeah, so let me just open it up a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a whole bunch. So you're reaching out to them, you ping them and said, are you interested in selling? And they
Yeah.
say yes. So you normally, we talked about this before, you sometimes get these people that just have an ego call, want to see what I'm being offered for the business. How do you know that they're actually motivated to sell? Is it the buy box that they're 10 years or 20 years old, the business itself, or what does that look like?
It's the conversations. That is the hardest thing to figure out, which is why we always recommend like, hey, make the calls, right? If you're going to do it yourself, use the Google Voice or OpenPhone. But when we do it for people, we have people sending emails, sending texts, making calls. And then if they show interest, and yeah, I'd listen to offers. We have a team of expert cold callers that comes over the top and they're saying, hey, John, or I'm sorry, hey, Mr. Business Owner, my name's Vanessa. I'm John's assistant. So glad that you responded to our email that you're open to hearing offers. I'm here to like set that call up on Friday because he's open then, if that works for you. Can you tell me a little bit about the business? Oh, and are you just after a big number or are you actually in a spot to sell? Like, what's your reason for selling? We ask all those questions, right? What's your reason for selling? What's your revenue, EBITDA for the last 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want us to ask? Are you open to seller financing? How many employees do you currently have? Everything. And then we take all of those notes and we put it directly into notes for clients. But if you're doing it yourself, that's the best way to figure those things out is just have that quick phone call to, don't be brash like I just was. Like, do you want to hear a big number? But just ask the question of like, hey, why or what prompted you or why are you looking to sell?
Yeah. And this VA sets up, we give them our TidyCal or Calendly.
Yep.
You set up a Zoom. And how does that first meeting go? Have you been on any of those or experienced what that's like? And
Tons. Don't do it anymore. But I used to hop on with other other clients to just kind of like, hey, here's the frame of the conversation. But you just want to go in there and you just want to be like 3 things. You want that other business owner to know, like, and trust you. And if you do those 3 things just through conversations, you can talk about Wemby. And if you find out they hate the San Antonio Spurs, probably should stop talking about basketball or anything else. Just really start that relationship with them because it's such a relationship game when they're off-market deals. And if you take that, you start talking, you can get to a point of like, great, well, I love these parts about your businesses. Can you tell me more? And it's just dating. You're getting to a stage of, hey, let's just really get to know each other, and then let's see where the second date leads us,
So
Big question.
the point of the first call is probably just to get the second call.
Yeah.
But you're not making an offer like, hey, send me 3 to 5 years worth of financials, 2 balance sheets. You're not asking for that on the first call.
No, 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 no. Just like there's certain questions you don't ask on a first date with a very lovely woman or lovely man, if we have any
How
women
long
on.
do you want to be married? How many kids do you want to have?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, hey, you don't go into certain things, and it's just a get to know you period. That's what this is. That is what we highly recommend. However, let's just say you meet the right person, right? Someone hops onto the call. I say the right person. Someone who may just be like ready to go. That's a better way to say it. And they're like, hey, thanks for your email. This is exactly what I want to do. Here's all the bank statements, P&Ls. This is what or what I know you're probably wanting to talk about, and they may just be so much faster. From the hundreds, thousands of different things that we've set up, that's like 5% of the time. So expect 95% of the time, people just want the relationship. So that's what I recommend.
Yeah. A lot of this is about managing expectations. I'll give you an example. One of my students is on the phone here, and we looked at probably, I don't know, 13, 20 businesses where we found somebody with financial integrity, a good business that can handle the financing. And then I had another student, and that took some point in time, like 6 months or more. And then I have another student, she just became a student and found a deal and put an LOI in 2 months. What does that look like? How many people do I need to talk to before I get to a point where I'm actually sending an LOI to a person?
So percentage wise, and if I'm just using it from like a ratio to volume type game, that's where the 10 to 30 that you can set over a 90-day period, our base kind of package for the VIP is 1,050 leads. So it's normally a 1.5% to 3% rate where we find someone who is actually open to selling, their business checks a lot or enough of our boxes to start a conversation, and then we book it directly on a client's calendar. So if you're looking to get to those numbers, then you need a list of at least 1,000 super good looking companies to even begin. And that's how you get to like the 15-30 range over that 90-day period. If you're like, hey, Connor, I don't sleep, like, give me more. Guess what? Just 10x it, and then you'll get 10x the responses or the type of results too. But it just totally depends on industry and your, I don't know, feasibility and I guess ability in general to handle all calls, follow up, things like that.
Yeah. What are those, let's say I get 30 in 90 days, and what do those calls kind of look like? I got to run the gamut. I'm imagining like, percent of them don't show up, percent of them just kind of an ego call, percentage is just trying to figure out who I am in the background. And then a small percentage are, I'm selling for, divorce, retirement, or illness, or some other reason.
There's a lot. And I think everybody here is maybe familiar with the silver tsunami type of event happening in the US specifically, with a high number of baby boomer owners that are looking to exit. And if they exit for any of the variety of reasons you just mentioned, great. But there's just so many that are also COVID maybe came in, punched them in the mouth hard, and they held on and they were able to ramp it back up. But it has been grueling since, having to get things back on even footing, business ramped up, and they may just be in a spot where I'm just tired. And the biggest reason that we see a ton of our clients find the best deals, I mean, the best, are because people are, I just don't want to run this business anymore, but I don't have a second generation, or I don't have anyone to like pass it off to. Like, this business is making 1.1 in EBITDA. Like, it's fantastic, but it just takes like a ton of work from me. And if I don't sell it, I'm going to shut it down. So I'd gladly sell it for 1x, 2x type multiple. I get some really good money, and then I'm just kind of off to the races. But then the buyer that comes in really gets such a great deal.
I got a question because I found this when I was looking for off-market deals with LinkedIn is sometimes you get this, you ask somebody you want to sell your business, you get a meeting, and all of a sudden they go, you know what, I could probably sell this for more from a broker.
Mm.
Is it how often does that happen, and how do you accommodate for that?
It's a big objection or something that can come up in conversations for people, especially our clients. Like if, a business owner likes them, but they're like, now I'm getting into it. If I take it to a broker and get it listed, like that can happen. I always advise clients, and they can say whatever they want, but I advise them to just, bring up the point. That's fantastic. Like, yeah, you can have any and all conversations like that works. Brokers themselves will charge a pretty good hefty commission on whatever you price your business at. So if you are wanting to sell for 8 million, then you're going to give some guy that you're going to have to go research or look up, you may not even know, $800,000. Like that's kind of insane, those numbers out loud, so they hear that. That's pretty impactful. Don't just say the percent of like commission. Be like, oh, if it's a 10% broker fee, like on an $8 million business, that's 800K. Like that's kind of how it would shape out. That's why I love approaching businesses like yours off market. It's such a great, healthy business. Would love to be the person that takes it on because I see the awesome care that you've already put in. And that's why I wanted to contact you myself. And I'd spin it more to be more personal, to maybe get them out of taking it to a broker. But we've had deals like that all the time where maybe a business owner does decide to go broker. Then it's just like, hey, tell the broker we've already talked, and then I'll just deal with them. It may turn into a bidding war, it may not, because the broker's like, oh, you've already seen everything. Why don't I just close this and I get my fee? And then the seller realizes just paid 10% for nothing. But that's on them.
Yeah. Hey, Stuart, just one more question. I just like 1 second. A lot of the times when you go to brokers, they've done a lot of the legwork of getting the financial documents in place.
Uh-huh.
When do you start asking for an off-market deal? Hey, I'd love to see 3 years of financials, and sometimes these guys just don't have that ready because they weren't even thinking about selling, but they are now.
The off-market businesses in the very short sentence are just very unorganized most of the time. And they won't have their financials in order. In fact, if they use a CPA, they're just like, I don't know, talk to this person. And they just will kind of connect you and let that person send you all the PDFs and documents for your due diligence, right? But talking to these types of business owners can be a huge advantage for you too, because like I said previously, they just may have a number in mind. They could be so ready to sell at 1.2, even though if they met with several brokers and got it listed, it'd be 1.82 million, right? But they've just had this number in their head because they're like, if I get to that, someone wants it, awesome. Then you come in, high five the broker or high five the seller, and it can pay off because they just don't want to go about the process of trying to learn, organize everything, put together a sim, etc. They're just like, hey, let's just meet and be happy.
Cool. All right, Stuart.
Yeah.
You're
Can you hear us?
Am I muted?
No, I think you need to get a little closer to the mic. Would that work?
Okay. Yeah, anyhow, there were some good points there. I've approached some off-market deals, and I'm just like, where are you?
yeah, Stuart, we're still having trouble hearing you.
Hang on. Plan B. Okay, any better now?
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
As long
Okay.
as you record, it sounds better.
Yeah, I'll move my laptop. Anyhow, I've approached some off-market deals, and you're right. Sometimes you get lucky and they have a number in their head, but also other times, they'll have a number in their head that's unrealistic. So it kicks
Yep.
in, well, how am I ever going to get to the right number? I'm a business broker also. And so, first thing I want to do is kind of, well, let me help you with that valuation.
Yeah.
Then there's is there a conflict of interest? I'm now an interested party in buying your business, but I'm a broker. So this thing can kind of go round and round and get dragged out. But what if anyone else has had other experience where, trying to deal with that customer who has kind of an unrealistic expectation of what his business is worth, or that seller, and yet he's interested in selling, and then not engaging a business broker. How have you seen those things go down?
Where they don't want to technically talk to a broker, but they do want to sell, is
Yeah,
what you're.
and you don't really want them to go down that road, but you need evaluation. So is it going to be just an independent valuation, which is of course something I can do too, but it's a conflict of interest.
You're totally right. Yeah, if somebody is quote unquote uneducated seller, like they could come in at a super low number and you're like, awesome. Or they could come at a crazy high multiple and you're thinking, man, I need you to be a little more reasonable. If you talk to a broker or someone or group or due diligence firm that does valuations, like that can bring it down. That's exactly what I would do, is recommend, hey, talk to this group, talk to that group. Find one that you really like. If it's just, hey, let's get to evaluation. And some places and some people can kind of put it together, but it is more helpful to recommend to the seller. Like, I know you're at this number, you had this number in your head, and I know you love your HVAC business. It's not a 12x multiple type business, so let's calm down. But they may be opposed to your recommendations of this, and this. If you offer up like, hey, if you want to talk to, these different types of groups, let them do their own research to come to a number so that they're back down to earth. That is the best case scenario or the best.
Yeah, the process can be very long and arduous. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're in a subject where there is a conflict of interest if you recommend a number and they don't accept it, right? So using a third party, and they'll use, like the brokers I've seen sometimes in the SIM, you'll see 3 ways to value a business. So you're gonna have to find somebody that does that, right? Like here's comps or discount cash flow, etc.
Are you offering your service to business brokers?
We are.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's in a honestly kind of similar format, but they hire us to essentially find listings.
Sure.
That's been the only way that we've technically worked with a few brokers. But they see kind of the power and
on your website over here. I was looking
oh yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. And how is my last question? I know it's sort of two last questions. How granular can you get in searches? Much deeper than the categories you have? I mean, if it's really kind of an esoteric industry, can you have that way of getting into that?
Are you talking about like, can we do more industries, or are you looking for different metrics on the search?
Yeah, kind of going deeper into say category.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, if you're trying to ask for revenue and EBITDA numbers, these are all off-market businesses. The only way to really get the most accurate info, exact info, is off tax returns. And we're just not going to steal those because that's illegal. So how we've structured it is like, hey, if we do the VIP service for clients, we can look at these different types of industries. We can look at this head count. We can see how long it's operated. We can see the location it's in, kind of the geographic, I don't know, data, understand how many other plumbing businesses there might be next to this plumbing business, what their management team structure looks like, some payroll data. And that's where, I mean, I'm getting super granular, but that's where we start to build out that list. So it can be what we call just a proper guesstimate of, hey, I want something that's 1 to 2 million in EBITDA. And it's like, great, here are all the data points. This is the list that we put together to kind of match that, but we won't know what they are in that EBITDA or just number range until we call, text, email, and we figure that out.
And drill into the details.
Yeah, Stuart, I think the best one to guess on that is per employee. They do report that. You can find that information easy. For instance, a plumbing company, if you're an expert in plumbing, plumbing companies in Tucson. Right? If there's 5 employees, it's going to be doing $150,000 per person. That's by number of trucks that go out, and you kind of get an estimation. If it's higher than that, you go, okay, there's probably a problem with that business. Lower than that, it's probably a very profitable business.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if I can screen share really fast, John, kind of go through this. So, if you're in either camp, right? you want to handle it all yourself, you want to go out and get the VAs, maybe you can structure it differently, whatever, get the softwares, awesome. If you want it done for you, we offer that too, and we're happy to talk about that. But if you're so excited to kind of look at the data, use anything, you can go directly here and get one of our plans, to just do it yourself. You can access, we even have, and I haven't talked through all these off-market deals that we just have through proprietary search. You can get 10,000 exports per month too. And if you sign up, there's even just for the call. So if you're listening or watching, whatever it might be, if you use the code Stoddard10, just for our greatest friend in the world, John Stoddard, Stoddard 10, you'll get 10% off lifetime. So feel free to check it out. I'll include that into the notes right here, just so it's, I guess, accessible for everyone. And boom. As well as introduce you. If you guys have checked out the website or not, I mean, feel free to go do it. You can get a free account and kind of just check things, look at things. But these are some of the off-market proprietary businesses that we've reached out to. They've told us, just as this says, they're not listed anywhere. They've given us the proper email and phone number on what they want to be contacted on. But that's perfect if you're the quote-unquote do-it-yourself. So happy to help on anyone on either side of the plan. But I just wanted to make sure that was super clear too for everyone in case they were looking at it.
All right, so that's do it yourself. You'll do the leads, you do all the dangerous emailing, and then deliver 10,000 leads, and the individual contacts themselves. Like if JC Snobble says, I'm going to do it myself, I got VAs. All right, great, do it yourself. And then there's VIP service. You do everything. All your VAs just set up the meeting, and then you have the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you want to talk about that kind of VIP, I'll include the Calendly. I'm sure John has it, but we'll just make sure it's reposted too. So everyone has that to just have a call and like talk through the specifics and what you might be looking for. And I'm getting a question here from Tom. How do you deal with two buyer customers who want the same type of business leads? Great question. We use so much data reconciliation and aggregation. So every single lead that we've given to another client is not given to a new client. So what that means is, let's say we have people that want HVAC, plumbing, landscaping in Dallas, Cincinnati, and Miami. We have another client that wants it in Washington, D.C., Miami, Atlanta, right? There's a crossover with Miami. Everyone that we've given to the first client is theirs. And then we just pull in new leads for the second client that they're all fresh. Okay. And if it doesn't, constitute to the full amount, then we kind of expand maybe the geography or the industry list, whatever it might be. But every lead is brand new and fresh.
I mean, would it happen that somebody's looking for security companies in, San Diego same time? I mean, how often does that happen?
You'd be surprised. I mean, we're dealing with so many clients that there's a little bit of crossover. And we do notify both clients like, hey, or in the new client specifically, like, hey, we are working with a client that's here. But all the leads that we're giving you that may be a sort of match, like they have theirs and you're going to get your own. Okay. What we do is direct VIP. So it's distinctly unique to you. Where I know there are brokers, there's some good brokers that you constantly need to keep working with. There's some bad ones. And the bad ones are just the ones that are like, yeah, I don't care what your search parameters are, but like everyone gets to see this at the same time. So we don't do that. We don't cause bidding wars at all. We just give you something unique and fresh.
Gotcha. Tom, did that answer your question?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah. So I guess I was just wondering if you're willing to sort of, be like a franchisor and set geographic territories for the leads. So if I say, hey, give me all the Las Vegas security company leads, will you set a fence around those leads for me if I pay you
In
to do it?
very rare circumstances, but yes, is the short answer. But we would love to set a call to talk through exactly how that would work. And we would need to know, the exact reasons, right? We've had a lot of brokers call us and try that method. And we don't do it if it's for finding listings or anything like that. So
Yeah,
I'll get,
I want to buy. I'm not a
okay,
broker. I want to buy, but I don't want to compete, obviously.
correct.
Or at
Yeah,
least I want first crack or some way that, that
yeah.
gets me out of the herd.
Then be happy to talk to you on a
Yeah,
call to explain further and just kind of understand exactly what you're looking for too.
sure.
Uh,
Okay, great.
Very
Thanks.
good question. I see a good one from Morteza. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. Connor, are you active in the Canadian market as well? Great news, yes. So we're in the US, Canada, and Australia. Hopefully very, very soon in the UK, but those three right now.
Cool. Any other questions while we're here? Cameron, Stuart, Gary, Isaiah, John. Awesome. I'll reach out. Baruch, Bohan. I may have pronounced that wrong. Sorry. And Hallie. Cool. So if you have any other questions, you just didn't think of them, or you just don't want to come on and ask it, feel free to reach out to me, or feel free to reach out to Connor Young on LinkedIn or Cairo Data. He's on both.
Yeah, I'll put my email here too as the best way to contact. And if I can't get to your question immediately, it'll get answered within 24 hours. But would love to talk to anyone and everyone that actually just, hey, the VIP or done for you is just what I need, because I don't have, 30, 40 hours a week to make all the calls. And we get that. Like, people are busy and that works. But if you kind of want to do it yourself, that's why we have that option. But if you want to do it yourself, you kind of want to go through the data and the deals, I would just highly, please ask that, hey, the calls themselves are just for the expectation that you're wanting to do the VIP. But I'll send that link to John. He's got it. And then for everyone in the chat, I know we're over time, so I actually have to run as well. But email me directly. This feeds directly to my inbox, the team at Cairo Data, and we'd love to talk. Okay.
Great. All right, everybody. Thank you for staying for an hour. I appreciate it. Connor, thanks for presenting. And just remember, guys, it all starts at the top. You got to have deal flow. And that's why I call my business Deal Flow System. You have to have deal flow.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.